We are all huge fans of the Street Fighter franchise. The characters and arts of Street Fighter are something that we cherish and love as a community. Having so many characters to choose from makes it difficult to pick a favorite to fight. While we might be familiar with their moves and playing style, do we know their backstory? The strongest woman in the world, Chun-Li, is Hong Kong's pride in the Street Fighter universe, wielder of the 100 rending legs. Chun-Li is a force to be reckoned with. In this episode, we're going to focus on the update story of Chun-Li. Where is she now? How does her past lie? You may be surprised. Without further ado, let me welcome you to the Fighterverse. When Chun-Li was 5 years old, she watched her first Chinese classical play, Peking Opera, and her first Bruce Lee movie, both of which fascinated her and also contributed to her decision to learn martial arts. Tai Chi was the first thing she learned. However, the movements of Tai Chi were radically different from those in Peking Opera. She continued learning Hong Shuang, as well as basic exercises from her father and Master Gen soon after. With that, Chun-Li's knowledge of Chinese martial arts increased rapidly. Chun-Li's primary fighting technique was the kick. It was something Chun-Li learned from her father, who was also known for having legendary legs. Chun-Li continued to develop her kick attacks by incorporating techniques from a variety of fighting styles, ultimately developing her own style. In the years following, Chun-Li became a detective to locate her father when she was a teenager. Afterward, she followed in her father's footsteps and became a narcotics investigator for ICPO, also known as International Criminal Police Organization, also known as Interpol, working as the organization's anti-Shadowloo investigator. Chun-Li was known as the black sheep of the ICPO, as she was investigating Shadowloo for the illegal sales of narcotics and weapons. When said evil organization got their hold of the high-ups of Interpol, in Street Fighter Alpha 2, after a friendly spar with an old teacher and a friend of her father, Jen, he gives her a clue about who might have killed her father, the mysterious crime syndicate Shadowloo. Finding its leader, M. Bison, she demands he tell her what happened to her father. She was surprised when Bison attacked her and made quick work of her, then flew away. The ending of Street Fighter Alpha Warriors' Dreams shows M. Bison hitting Chun-Li in the stomach with a Psycho Punisher before escaping. M. Bison's escape to Thailand is briefed to Chun-Li in a hospital bed as she wakes up. In the retcon Street Fighter Alpha 2, after a battle against M. Bison, he retreats to his jet in the sky. Before he leaves, he reveals that he was responsible for her father's death. Later, at the China branch Interpol headquarters, Chun-Li is appointed special investigator of Shadowloo. With tear in her eyes, the last she swore to ever shed, Chun-Li swore vengeance. In Street Fighter Alpha 3, to take down Shadowloo, Chun-Li teamed up with US Air Force member Charlie Nash. Then she ran into someone she would never had expected. It was Guile, Charlie's good friend and fellow lieutenant. Chun-Li learned Bison had tricked the Air Force into canceling the planned bombing of the Shadowloo base, and rushed over to tell the two soldiers they had been tricked and had no choice but to destroy the base themselves. The three of them went to the Shadowloo base in Thailand to plant bombs around the base, while Charlie and Guile went in to destroy the Psycho Drive. But Guile then ran out, rushing over to Chun-Li and telling her that Charlie had told them to get away. Meanwhile, Ryu was fighting with M. Bison. Chun-Li noticed a young girl escaping with several others, who turned out to be CAMMY. Guile later told her that Charlie was inside the Shadowloo base when the explosion occurred, causing his death in the process. Chun-Li managed to shut the Shadowloo evil empire down, despite her initial disappointment at the paucity of evidence for Shadowloo's crimes. In Street Fighter 2, after Chun-Li received an invitation to the Second World Warrior Tournament, she discovered that Bison had apparently survived Thailand's destruction. As a result, her main motive was to destroy Shadowloo and avenge her father once again. During the tournament, Chun-Li and her allies fought through the forest against Bison. During their battle with Bison, Chun-Li was able to deliver the decisive blow to M. Bison. In response to Guile's command to surrender, Bison uses all of his psycho power to create a huge explosion, causing everyone to flee. Chun-Li and the other fighters who tried to stop the dictator survived. Despite no evidence being shown to prove that the cataclysm actually occurred, the government investigated Shadowloo's base exhaustively after Bison apparently committed suicide and concluded that Bison and the other bosses had also died. After her visit to her father's grave, Chun-Li prays to him that his death has been vindicated. After Chun-Li finally defeating M. Bison, Shadowloo's eventual collapse wouldn't be far off. From there, Chun-Li would move on to be a young single girl. From Super Street Fighter 2 onward, she is given a choice between the life of a single girl or to continue being a detective. Pre-Street Fighter 4, Chun-Li is seen moving on with her life as a young single girl, keeping herself busy by working at an eatery or by traveling. She reminisces the memories and the fights that took place during Street Fighter 2. She admits to herself that the life she expected wasn't all she would imagine it would be. Chun-Li finds her inner strength re-weakened as she finds herself back into action, presumably to continue tracking down SHADOWLADY's movements, and Bison, as well as the SIN organization. Chun-Li, Guile, and CAMMY are summoned to a theme park to stop the rampage of JURI, an operative from SHADOWLADY's weapon division SIN, who is wreaking extreme havoc. While Guile and CAMMY evacuate trapped civilians, Chun-Li goes ahead to look for more survivors. Chun-Li reaches JURI as she executes a rogue SIN agent. Chun-Li squares off against JURI, but is unable to land a significant strike on her. JURI grabs Chun-Li's arm before twisting it in an arm lock. Chun-Li escapes by kicking JURI's leg and retreating with the air Kikoken before JURI blocks with one hand. JURI takes advantage, as Chun-Li is distracted by a little boy whose mother was injured by JURI's attack. JURI rushes in with a kick to Chun-Li's solar plexus, blasting her into a wall before crashing to the ground. But before JURI can execute her, she is forced to flee when Guile and CAMMY arrive. Due to her artificial eye malfunctioning, injured and losing consciousness, Chun-Li mentions to CAMMY about the little boy and his mother. Chun-Li is hospitalized with multiple injuries all over her body, but upon recovery, Chun-Li is back to investigating JURI and her connections to SIN on a laptop from her hospital bed. Guile and CAMMY go to confront JURI, while Chun-Li monitors the SIN base and movements. Guile later informs Chun-Li about their failure to apprehend JURI. In the Street Fighter 4 series, donning her outfit, she returns to Interpol and teams up with Guile and CAMMY to take down SIN and discover what really happened to N. Bison. After she recovers from being defeated by JURI Han, she enters the new international fighting tournament to take down SIN once and for all. On her way, she is approached by Abel, who is searching for any leads on the SHADOWLADY organization. During the tournament, she also pursues Jen, who is also participating, for more answers about her father's death. Jen refuses, and she is unable to force him. She then confronts C. Viper and almost blows her cover because Viper was impeding her investigation. Later, she encounters JURI once more, whom she tries to arrest, and although she is able to defeat her, she is unable to bring her into custody. Infiltrating the SIN dam facility, she is trapped when Vega activates the base's self-destruct sequence. She is protected from the ensuing collapse by Jen and is eventually rescued by Guile and Abel. On A Shadow Falls, a blackout in New York is due to M. Bison activating the Black Moons. Guile teams up with Chun-Li in order to solve the mystery of the blackout. During their confrontation with M. Bison and the other Heavenly Kings, she recklessly fights against Bison over her vendetta. Chun-Li is beaten up by a powered-up M. Bison thanks to the Black Moons, as he blasts Chun-Li onto the street with a powerful Psycho Blast. As Guile struggles to fight off Vega, M. Bison prepares for the finishing blow, but CAMMY comes in to save her just on time. With Guile's assistance, CAMMY retreats and injured Chun-Li. In the evening, CAMMY, Chun-Li, and Guile discuss the possible connections between the missing hackers and the SHADOWLADY keys. After her last fight with M. Bison, Chun-Li is still injured. When she attempts to stand up again, she breaks down on her knees and holds her midsection. Chun-Li receives a package from CAMMY, which contains one of the keys. However, the sight of Charlie Nash surprises them all. Chun-Li and CAMMY are left alone with Rashid and Assam, while Guile goes to confront him. After catching Chun-Li's attention with his talk, Rashid takes an offensive stance. Rashid battles Chun-Li for her peace. After suffering from injuries sustained during her fight with Bison, she falls to Rashid in the end. The star-shaped key flies off her. Rashid retreats with Chun-Li's piece before she could get to her feet. Chun-Li is enlisted by Karin Gansuki and discovers that the chess piece are really keys to the Black Moons and stopping SHADOWLADY's plans. In order to find Laura in Brazil, she teams up with Ken Masters and CAMMY. Once Ken fights off Fang, Chun-Li recognizes Sean as being part of the Matsuda family and questions him about the chess piece he received, which he gave to Laura. After Ken spars with Laura and gets the piece, DiCaprio lingers to them and falls unconscious. Officers arrive to arrest DiCaprio. Ken and Chun-Li attempt to defuse the situation, but CAMMY attacks the officers to protect DiCaprio and escapes with JURI Han in her motorcycle. She is now a fugitive. While JURI and CAMMY leave with DiCaprio unconscious, Chun-Li, Ken, and Laura hold off an oncoming wave of SHADOWLADY soldiers as Chun-Li rushes off to the SHADOWLADY base. In their first infiltration at SHADOWLADY, Chun-Li is quickly ambushed by SHADOWLADY soldiers. In contrast, Dalsim teleports in, knocking each of them out. Dalsim hands Chun-Li a black black moon piece as she rushes into the base, leaving Dalsum to handle a second wave of soldiers with a yoga flame. Chun-Li meets Gadding at the control panel before both ladies break down a steel door to get to the panel. Fang catches up to them in time, but Gadding holds him off long enough for Chun-Li to successfully shut down the black moons. Before retreating, Fang promises one last trick. Gadding and Chun-Li meet up with Abel, who was working as an insider in Shadowloo. In the meantime, Fang uses Li Fen to activate the descent program, in which black moons will drop from orbit and explode upon impact, causing chaos, destruction, and death worldwide. The descent program also triggered cycle power in Abel, which caused him to lose control over his body. Chun-Li and Gadding escape from the base. Abel is stopped by Zangief, who appears out of the blue, hitting him with a spinning pile driver to knock him unconscious. Chun-Li boards the escape chopper with Gadding and the rest of the fighter, including Nash, as they retreat from the Shadowloo base. While regrouping at the Gansuke estate, Nash and Guile seduce Abel, with Nash siphoning all of the psycho power out of him. Chun-Li checks on Abel, as Nash, Rashid, and Assam leave back to their home base. Ryu arrives after defeating Nikali, and Chun-Li is happy to see him. He joins with them to make a final assault against Shadowloo. Chun-Li and the rest of the fighters leap out of the helicopter and descend into the Shadowloo base, where a massive brawl between Gadding's forces and Shadowloo soldiers breaks out, each of the world warriors holding their own. Chun-Li fights off a few guards before noticing the Shadowloo dolls, joining the fight, all powered up from the black moons. Gadding intercepts Enero as Chun-Li rushes into the heart of the base with Guile and Ryu. As Rashid successfully aborts the descent program, Ryu, Chun-Li, and Guile find M. Bison. Before Chun-Li could rush into battle, she notices a terrified Li Fen, still captive. Nash is the first to fight M. Bison, but realizing that he was still too strong, Nash sacrifices himself by absorbing as much of M. Bison's excess psycho power as he can, in an effort to weaken the powerful dictator before self-destructing. Chun-Li and Guile can only helplessly watch as Charlie performs his final act. She stops Guile from nearing the blast, as Nash kills himself. When the dust settles, M. Bison still stands tall, stepping on Charlie's dog tag, but Chun-Li and Guile sense that M. Bison's power had been weakened. Shortly after, Fang appears, seemingly have survived Mars's attempt to kill him. Fang, in a rage, rushes over to Chun-Li, swinging his poison hands at her, as she evades and parries the strikes before knocking him back with a Hake palm strike. Fang turns his attention to Li Fen, but before he can kill the small child, Chun-Li saves her with a Tenching Shunshu to Fang. Chun-Li comforts Li Fen for being brave as she hangs the trembling, terrified girl. Chun-Li looks back and sees Fang slowly recovering. She tells Ryu to take care of M. Bison. While fighting off Fangs, Chun-Li easily defeats Fang as he falls unconscious. After Ryu ultimately defeats Bison, they escape the base with Li Fen and Guile. Chun-Li hesitates for a moment, looking back at M. Bison's cap. An expression of both relief and anxiousness bestows on her face, as years of avenging her father seemingly has come to an end. But in doing so, Chun-Li and Li Fen fall behind and sprint to catch up to them, carrying Li Fen in her arms and avoiding falling debris in the process. When the blast starts catching up, Ryu throws a Denjing Hadoken to stop the fires from the explosion, allowing Chun-Li and Li Fen to escape. As the Shadowloo base crumbles and is buried underneath roaring lava, Chun-Li barely manages to escape the base, carrying Li Fen on her back, Ryu and Guile right beside her. In Street Fighter V, the prologue takes place after a shadow falls, where Chun-Li successfully rescues Li Fen from Shadowloo. While caring for Li Fen, she finds Chun-Li's old gear from when she was a rookie cop. Chun-Li recounts her past events when she was a rookie cop, while tying ox horns on Li Fen's hair. The past shows Chun-Li trying to arrest Vega in China. Vega says her kicks remind her of someone who practiced the same art. Chun-Li recognizes that person as her father and asks Vega about him, which ensues a fight. She gets scratched by his claw in the arm, allowing Vega to retreat. Chun-Li continues her search in Russia, chasing down a lead that Vega was spotted in the area. She meets Guile and Nash, and they are quick to notice Chun-Li's desperation. Despite the two telling her she needs to be more patient, Chun-Li insists that she has reasons to go alone. Nash wants to test her to see if she is ready, so they spar. Nash gets up after the fight, surprising her. Guile tells Chun-Li that if she's finding Vega, that he and Nash should come with her. They return to China and find Vega, who has an entourage of Shadowloo soldiers, and Birdie. Guile and Nash fight off the attackers, while Chun-Li confronts Vega again. When she finally defeats Vega and tries to arrest him for questioning, he gets away on a helicopter and escapes, promising they'll meet again, but not before spilling out that he knows something about her father's death. She learns a lesson about not going alone and thanks Guile and Nash for coming. Back in the present, Chun-Li has finished Li Fen's ox horns. Li Fen wishes to be just as strong as Chun-Li, and they start training. In Street Fighter 3, after the events of Street Fighter 5 and Shadowloo fall, Chun-Li finally makes her peace and retires from street fighting to teach martial arts to orphans while still doing police work. Urien kidnaps a young girl, Li Fen, for her scientific projects, which prompts Chun-Li to go out in the world again and find her. She challenges him once she finds him and gets Li Fen back. She goes back to China and goes back to teaching martial arts. In her Street Fighter 6 ending, Chun-Li takes a sabbatical from Interpol to teach Kung Fu in Metro City. She later encounters JURI trying to sneak up on her, as they both engage in combat against each other. JURI warns Chun-Li that just because M. Bison is dead, that things aren't over yet. Chun-Li is curious for answers, but JURI invites Chun-Li to get the answers out of her by beating her. Chun-Li wins her battle, but JURI escapes without spilling any information to her. The workaholic Chun-Li is determined, even if Bison is dead, to uncover any evil lurking in the shadows. In the Street Fighter 6 comics, in Chapter 1, Chun-Li, who's undercover, and Sujimoto follow Ken and Albert Jackson, who are on their way to a hotel. After Ken's car is attacked by a group of people wearing masks, Chun-Li and Sujimoto take Ken and the two drive off with the injured champion. In Chapter 2, Chun-Li confronts Ken about the attack on his car and his friend Albert. She explains that she is with Interpol and currently serves as the director of their Special Criminal Intelligence Division in Nashville. Ken is being held as a material witness for his own safety. When Ken gets angry and denies his involvement, Chun-Li knocks him back and points a gun at him to calm him down. Chun-Li is aware that Ken is being framed and that they are working to prove his innocence. However, due to the widespread video transmission, Ken's safety could be compromised if he were to leave. Ken asks about his son Mel, but Chun-Li leaves the room to make a call, leaving Ken frustrated. Chun-Li contacts Li Fen, who informs her that their video appears to be a deep fake and can be proven as such with a technical analysis. Li Fen also mentions other anomalies, including online being related to the tournament. Chun-Li asks Li Fen to find Mel Masters, which annoys her due to her excessive workload. Chun-Li promises to make it up to her later. As Chun-Li is on the call, she hears a noise and discovers Sujimoto knocked out. She realizes that Ken has escaped through the window. In Chapter 4, Li Fen is talking to Chun-Li and explained that the more she investigates JP, the more shady he gets, saying that he moves from one corporation, NGO, to another, never staying there long, and that he's involved with infrastructure projects with several countries. She also mentions that his name Johan must be a fake name, and that he also calls himself John Philip. Li Fen explains that most of his projects seem legitimate. However, the moment he gets involved, things start going haywire, causing ethnic conflicts and civil wars. Chun-Li wonders if he's directly responsible, and Li Fen agrees that his hands are dirty. She reveals that she tried to dig deeper, but it's getting a bit risky, and that everything about the businessman on the dark web was ghosted, and someone tried to reverse hack Li Fen. Chun-Li asks her if it's too difficult for her, but Li Fen says she could try harder if there was something for her, and asks for a new gaming mouse and to eat a big juicy steak. The two end up leaving the room, and Chun-Li wonders if she can ever be normal, and Li Fen gets upset by hearing this. Let's start with her appearance. During her childhood, Li Fen sported a charming appearance, with twin-tailed black hair that cascaded down her back. She adorned a vibrant red-pink Chinese dress, complemented by black pants and stylish red kung fu shoes, embodying a fusion of traditional and contemporary fashion. As she entered her teenage years, Li Fen further expressed her personality through her unique headphone glasses hybrid accessory, which became a trademark of her style. Additionally, she proudly displays a Panda Chun-Li sticker on her laptop, showcasing her admiration for the legendary Street Fighter character. And why is her story so important for the development of Street Fighter 6? Well, let's start from her story in A Shadow Falls. Unveiling Li Fen's hidden past, it is revealed that she is the daughter of a missing hacker. In her quest for answers, she finds herself in the company of two Shadowloo soldiers, until their encounter with the valiant Rashid, who defeats them. Li Fen confides in Rashid, revealing crucial information about the whereabouts of his friend, unaware that his companion has tragically fallen victim to the Fang's nefarious actions. During the infiltration of the Shadowloo base, Li Fen's sharp eyes recognize Chun-Li, noting the marrowed chess piece she carries. Displaying her resourcefulness, she uses her mobile pad to bring it to Chun-Li's attention. Together, they successfully thwart Fang's plans. prompting a warning from him as they make their escape. However, Li Fen's safety is soon compromised when Fang coerces her into activating a backup plan. Taking refuge as Rashid's hideout, Li Fen provides a cryptic clue: "Light up the pathway for those who stray. I called thy name." This enigmatic message becomes a guiding light for their subsequent actions. As the final assault on the Shadowlu base ensues, Fang's menacing threats loom over Li Fen's life. However, Rashid's discovery of his missing friend's final piece enables him to disrupt Fang's plans, leading to a fierce showdown between him and Chun-Li, who valiantly saves Li Fen from harm. In the aftermath, as Ryu emerges triumphant against M. Bison, Li Fen finds solace in Chun-Li's protective embrace as they navigate their escape and eventually reunite with their fellow fighters. This poignant moment symbolizes their unity and resilience in the face of adversity. In the iconic Street Fighter III Third Strike, Li Fen's story takes a compelling turn as she becomes a central figure in Chun-Li's journey. Kidnapped by the nefarious Urien, Li Fen becomes a subject of his twisted experiments, prompting Chun-Li to embark on a daring rescue mission. In the midst of Chun-Li's relentless pursuit, she manages to save Li Fen from the clutches of Urien. As the dust settles, Li Fen's resilience shines through as she joins Chun-Li in honing their martial arts skills. In Chun-Li's ending, Li Fen takes on a role of a mentor, training alongside other aspiring young fighters in the art of Kung Fu. Her presence highlights her growth, not just as a survivor, but as a beacon of strength and inspiration for the next generation. In the highly anticipated Street Fighter VI Day of the Eclipse, Li Fen assumes the crucial role of being Chun-Li's trusted informant, acting as her eyes and ears within Interpol operations. As the gripping narrative unfolds, Li Fen finds herself embroiled in a web of conspiracy and deception. In Chapter 2, Li Fen uncovers a nefarious plot when a terrorist known as Amnesia frames Ken Masters for a crime he didn't commit. Utilizing her hacking skills, Li Fen exposes the truth by confirming that the footage uploaded by Amnesia, supposedly showcasing Ken's involvement, is nothing but sophisticated deepfakes projected onto the Coliseum fighting arena screens at Neychelle. As the story progresses to Chapter 4, Li Fen engages in a conversation with Chun-Li, shedding light on a mysterious character named JP. Through her investigations, Li Fen unravels the enigmatic persona of JP, noting his elusive nature as he swiftly moves between various corporations and NGOs, frequently involved in infrastructure projects with multiple countries. Li Fen suspects that JP may be using aliases, including the names of Johan and Jean-Philippe. She reveals a disturbing pattern wherein conflicts and civil unrest often follow in JP's wake, suggesting his involvement in orchestrating ethnic tensions and instigating turmoil. However, Li Fen's pursuit of the truth comes with its risks. She divulges to Chun-Li that her online investigations have encountered obstacles, with all traces of JP on the dark web vanishing, and someone attempting to reverse hack her. Chun-Li expresses concern for Li Fen's safety, questioning if the task is too demanding. In response, Li Fen asserts her determination, implying that with appropriate motivation, she can push harder. In a lighthearted moment, Li Fen cheekily requests a new gaming mouse and relishes the idea of indulging in a delicious, juicy steak. The tension rises as time ticks away and the pressure intensifies. In a much-needed respite from the harrowing situation, Li Fen and Chun-Li take a momentary break. However, keen-eyed readers can't help but notice a notable name prominently displayed on Li Fen's screen: the infamous criminal organization known as Shadowlu. The appearance of Shadowlu on her screen raises a plethora of questions and heightens the stakes of their investigation. Will Li Fen be the key to destroying JP? Chun-Li revealed her grueling daily training regimen, which includes an impressive 7,000 squat repetitions and bench pressing a whopping 150 kilograms. Her intense workout routine is clearly paying off as she takes great pride in her exceptional foot moves, which are an essential part of her fighting style. Rumors are circulating that Chun-Li has caught the eye of scouts from Japan's female pro wrestling world due to her impressive physical abilities and remarkable strength. It's not surprising that she would be a highly sought-after talent in the world of professional wrestling. However, it remains to be seen whether Chun-Li will take up this new challenge or continue to hone her skills as a martial artist. Regardless of her future endeavors, there's no denying that Chun-Li's dedication to her training has made her a force to be reckoned with both inside and outside the arena. Another interesting fact about Chun-Li is that, in a Polygon interview, it was revealed that during the development of Street Fighter II, there was initially a plan to make Chun-Li weaker than other fighters in the game, Yoshiki Okamoto, one of the game's designers, suggested that Chun-Li's health bar should be shorter than other characters' health bars because he believed that women were physically weaker. However, another designer on the team disagreed with this idea and argued that it would not be fair to players who choose to play as Chun-Li. Eventually, they came to an agreement and decided not to make her health bar shorter. This decision ultimately paved the way for the concept of fighters having different health levels to be further developed in later games. Despite initial disagreements, this design choice allowed for a more varied and strategic gameplay experience in the Street Fighter series. Did you know that Chun-Li may have had feelings for Ryu? Street Fighter 2's overwhelming success gave a rise to a multimedia franchise that included live-action films, animated TV shows, comics, toys, clothing, and a plethora of other merchandise. One adaptation that gained popularity was the Street Fighter 2 comic series published by Malibu in 1993. In this comic, there was a shocking scene where Ken's scalp was cut off and sent to Ryu in a box. The comic depicted Chun-Li as having trained with Ryu and Ken before becoming a police officer. In the first issue, Chun-Li expresses her feelings for Ryu, but he does not reciprocate. The third and final issue hints at a potential romantic relationship between them had the comic series continued. However, Capcom wisely pulled the plug on the comic before it could cause any further harm to the Street Fighter 2 characters. Get ready for these amazing hidden eggs you might have missed. Check this out. Chun-Li's popularity extends far beyond her role in the Street Fighter franchise. In fact, she has made numerous cameo appearances in other Capcom games, often alongside Ryu as a representative of the series. Interestingly, she is tied with Ryu for the most cameo appearances in games outside of Street Fighter. Chun-Li has made her mark in the gaming world as a strong and beloved character. Capcom has utilized her in many of their games, often adding her as an Easter egg for fans to discover. Her appearances in the games have developed to solidify her status as an iconic figure in the video game industry. One of her most well-known cameos was in Final Fight 2, where she appears alongside Guile enjoying a bowl of ramen in the Hong Kong level. This cameo showcases her love for food, which is referenced in other games as well. In Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, she is depicted holding a giant steam bun in her victory pose. In Mega Man 9, Chun-Li played the role of a television news reporter in the game's intro. This was a fun nod to her profession as a police officer in the Street Fighter series. Fans could also catch a glimpse of her practicing her attack in the original Breath of Fire for the Super Nintendo by visiting the town of Bleak and paying a audition. Chun-Li's versatility as a character has allowed her to appear in a range of Capcom games, not just fighting games. In Asura's Wrath, she made an appearance in one of the DLC endings, where she arrests the villain Calro. This cameo surprised many fans, but showed how widely recognized and appreciated Chun-Li has become. The initial concept of the creation of Chun-Li, female fighter to Street Fighter 2, according to Japanese game director and character designer Akira Nishitani, is stated to be inspired by the character Tao from the anime film Armageddon Genma Wars. Harumagedon Genma Taisen is a science fiction anime movie released in 1983. The movie was based largely on Kazumasa Hirai's first 3 Genma Taisen novels. The movie was directed by Rintaro with character designs by Katsuhiro Otomo, who is famous for having written and directed the highly acclaimed Akira film. It's said Tong Pu, an antagonist from Capcom's Strider franchise, also served as the inspiration for Chun-Li's design. Tong Pu is a recurring character in the series, appearing in most versions of the first Strider game, and returning for its 2 official sequels. She is also the character with the most exposure in the series besides Hiryu himself. Tong Pu is the middle sister of the Bounty Hunter, an assassin trio known as the Kunyang Team, or the 4 Winds. He acts as the team's leader. The creator of Chun-Li was Akira Akiman Yasuda, artist-creator from Capcom, heavily involved in the creation process of Street Fighter 2. During developing Chun-Li, Akiman Yasuda had given her trademark robust and muscular thighs, which was said to emphasize Chun-Li's drive, to show her determination to push herself through her physical limits, to fight on even ground and match the male-dominated cast in strength. While composer Yoko Shimamura reveals that it was also done out of his personal taste for women. Akira Akiman Yasuda describes that in the first stages of her design, that pants were appropriate for her attire, for her kung fu style of fighting, but they ran into troubles when in the early stages of programming, the pants didn't fit in with the character. Akiman describes it as lacking intensity, and I quote, "If it lacks impact, once translated into pixels, it becomes meaningless." After several tries, they figured out that changing the pants to tights was the best way to go. thus creating the final form of Chun-Li's attire. Designer Eri Nakamura would later design Chun-Li's Street Fighter Alpha attire, which helped to further detail her developed upper body physique, and would be further basis for her character models in Street Fighter EX series. One of Chun-Li's moves in concept was said to be a back-flipping attack, which was well received by playtesters, since they considered the attack to be broken. This move was supposed to have made it into the final release, but was cut out due to lack of time to program it back into the game. During development of Street Fighter III: Third Strike, Yoshinori Ono witnessed the development of Chun-Li's sprite as artists began to expand the widths of her thighs, which were said to border on gigantism at times, but agreed that their thickness helped to add in greater detail to her character. Being a professional police officer and international agent of Interpol, also appears to evoke inspiration from the 1980s Charles Bronson action movie Assassination, and to the character Charlotte Cha-Li Chung, as portrayed by actress Jan Gan Boyd, who was the sidekick and on-and-off romantic partner of Charles's lead role, Jay Killian, as members of the Secret Service. The establishing portion of the movie shows Charlotte in a traditional blue shipao in a scene with Jay. Chun-Li's name is Mandarin for Spring Beauty. It is properly romanized as Chun-Li in Pinyin, and pronounced Xuan-Li, despite Westerners commonly pronouncing it as Chun-Li. The Japanese rendering of the name is Shunrei. Personality-wise, Chun-Li is a resourceful and dedicated officer of the law, with a strong sense of justice that rivals that of her father, Inspector DORAI, as she is a strong believer of protecting the innocent and saving the lives of others. Chun-Li is a highly disciplined, seasoned, and courageous woman, and is on numerous occasions the voice of reason in many of the scenarios within the Street Fighter universe. As an Interpol officer, she takes her work as a cop with pride, showing content at what she does when she saves lives. Outside of her duties as an Interpol officer, she has an elegant, sweet, and feminine personality. Interpol is an intergovernmental organization facilitating international police cooperation. Their work focuses primarily on public safety and battling crimes that take place around the world. Chun-Li, however, is not without her flaws, as she is known to be very competitive with criminals in Street Fighter media, and does not take kindly to those who insult her pride as a cop. There are also times when she is shown to have a fairly dense side to her personality, like for example in her ending of Super Gem Fighter Minimix. As pointed out by Nash and Guile, Chun-Li tends to let her emotions get the best of her while on duty. This has at least on one occasion almost caused her demise at the hands of Bison. As shown in her story mode and in A Shadow Falls, Chun-Li has been told this and she has promised not to do it again, although it keeps happening. Because of her devotion to justice, she often becomes allies and friends with other soldiers and cops. Additionally, she has shown great resilience and determination in pursuing intense crime organizations, such as Shadow-Lu. Originally called Shadow Law, the Shadow-Lu is a very powerful and deadly criminal organization that is responsible for dealing biochemical drugs and arms run by M. Bison. In her Street Fighter V arcade ending, a surprising trait was revealed, that Chun-Li is inept at cooking, averting her usual femininity like Lucia, but not to the point when the food becomes humorously bad, like the latter, to the point of burning her food while following cooking instruction, and Li Fen having to take over with what remains of the ingredients. Chun-Li displays her kind and caring, almost motherly traits in her Street Fighter III: Third Strike arcade ending. After rescuing Li Fen, she goes on to teach Kung Fu to children. Chun-Li was inspired by all the people she met on her journeys, and has made it her new goal to teach her new students about strength and beauty, as well as to help shape their future. Throughout the years of Chun-Li's existence, she has been portrayed by voice actors and movie actresses alike. In real-life acting, the portrayal of Chun-Li we have is actress Ming-Na Wen. Ming Wen is recognized in multiple movies and series, such as Street Fighter. She has been known as Melinda May from the ABC series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and most recently her role as Fennec Shand from the highly acclaimed Mandalorian series in Disney+. She is also in the animated series of The Bad Batch and the upcoming series The Book of Boba Fett. Next actress is Christina Lara Crook, Canadian actress. Debuting on teen drama Edgemont, she became most known for her roles as Lana Lang in the superhero television series Smallville, and Chun-Li in Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. Other actresses include Gemma Nguyen. Gemma Nguyen is known for her work on The Jungle Book, Phantom Breaker, Battlegrounds, and Street Fighter independent movie shorts made by Rogue Origin Films on YouTube. I recommend checking them out. Let's start with Chun-Li's voice actress, such as Donya Yamamoto.
I am the strongest woman in the world!
She was the voice of Chun-Li in Street Fighter animated series in 1995. Next actress, Miki Fujitani. She was the voice in the Street Fighter 2 the animated movie. Yumi Toma. She plays Chun-Li's voice role in the Street Fighter Alpha the movie. Leah Sargent.
Hi, I'm Chun-Li. Are you ready to go on the grand tour?
Voice actress for the Street Fighter Alpha the movie, Street Fighter 2 the animated movie, and Street Fighter 2 V. Next actress, Yuko Miyamura. Voice actress of the Street Fighter Alpha series, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, X-Men vs. Street Fighter EX series, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Pocket Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2. Actress Atsuko Tanaka. Voice actress of Namco Capcom, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, Capcom Fighting Evolution, Michiko Neya. Capcom vs. SNK 1 and 2. Actress Mari Chitsukawa. Voice actor in SNK vs. Capcom and SVC Chaos. Actress Fumiko Orikasa. Actress of Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, Street Fighter 4 and 5, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Street Fighter Tekken, Project X Zone 1 and 2. Next actress is Laura Bailey.
Want to see my kung fu? I'll show you.
She did the voice in Street Fighter 4 and 5, Street Fighter vs. Tekken, and Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And last but not least, actress Ashley Birch.
Chun-Li reporting for battle.
Voice actress in the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. There have also been pop culture references. One of the other aspects we can recognize and admire from the Street Fighter creative team is their talent in the creations of each of the characters' stages. In Street Fighter 2, we can see the illustrated plane dropping down on China. This is the way we know we are in for a fight. The shopping district, Taiping Road, is Chun-Li's stage in the Street Fighter 2 series, a shopping street in China. It is said that Chun-Li first arrived at the scene of the shopping district in an investigation of a possible drug trafficking route, which ended up in a street fight between her and her adversary. Shopping district Taiping Road has a variety of shops in its background, depending on the version. To the left side of the screen, we can see a small shop that sells drinks, confirmed by the fact that there are 2 Coca-Cola crates in the back of the store. Near the small shop, we can find a person holding a chicken with multiple cuts of meat hanging from the ceiling. The sign that is near the meat shop is a warning sign for people to not spit near the premises. This is the Xiamen Meat Company, who is said to be a reference to the real Xiamen meat market. On the right-hand side of the stage, there's a small Shanghai-style salon. Between both of the small shops, it is said that the man handling fruits or ice is said to be a disguised monitor cyborg. A cyborg, also known as SHADOWLADY Monitor Cyborg, is a character from the Street Fighter series who was originally featured in the 1994 film Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, before appearing as a playable fighter in the Street Fighter 2, the interactive movie. Its aim is to gather intel from fighters from all across the globe to further SHADOWLADY's research. Taiping Road is an east-west seaside road in Xinan District, Qingdao City, Shandong Province, People's Republic of China. It is also one of the first roads built in the city. Even though the Capcom team named Chun-Li's stage by the likes of the Taiping Road, it is said to be based on the Shengyun Street. Shengyun Street is in Hong Kong, North Point, in a one-way street. It starts from Tang Shui Road in the east and connects to North Point Road in the west. Shenyang Street is known as Little Fujian and Little Shanghai. The streets are full of vendors, and there are shops specializing in authentic food from Fujian and Shanghai on the ground floor of the buildings on both sides. It is said that developers from Capcom are portrayed riding the bicycles behind Chun-Li's stage. We all recognize that bell-sounding rhythm that captivates your ears as soon as we enter CHUN-LI'S stage. But have you ever wondered who were the producers of that captivating Asian melodic sound? The music from CHUN-LI'S stage shopping district, Taiping Road, were created by the legendary music producers Yoko Shimomura and Isao Abe. Both were the main musicians and composers for the Street Fighter series. Shimomura's work can be recognized in many different video game franchises during the years. Some of Shimomura's most recognized works can be seen in the titles like Kingdom Hearts, Parasite Eve, Breath of Fire, and others. The first and most famous work produced by Isao Abe in Street Fighter II was the composition of the main theme for the character Sagat, including its unique time signature, as well as the original versus melody. And here comes a new challenger. In this episode, we have talked about attributes of her creation and concept of the strongest woman of the world. Chun-Li saw her first Chinese classical play, Peking opera, and first Bruce Lee movie at the age of 5, both of which fascinated her and led her to start practicing martial arts. In the beginning, she learned Tai Chi, however, was much different from the gorgeous movements she remembered from Peking opera. Her father DORAI then taught her a variety of basic exercises, including Hong Shuang. Chun-Li's ability to perform Chinese martial arts rapidly improved as a result. During fights, Chun-Li mainly used kicks. Chun-Li began developing her kick attacks from her father, who was also known for having legendary legs. She eventually mastered techniques from Chinese martial arts, capoeira, battle karate, and taekwondo, creating her own style as well. The unique style of her martial arts will be formed out of the 3 martial arts that are native to her origins. Despite the fact that she has trained in a wide range of styles, she became a detective later on to hunt for her missing father DORAI. In addition to being close friends, DORAI and Jen taught Chun-Li martial arts from a very young age. Having served in the police force in Hong Kong for many years, DORAI was dedicated to the justice system. During an investigation to capture SHADOWLADY's leader, he went missing, and his whereabouts are unknown. Later, she followed DORAI's footsteps and became a narcotics investigator at ICPO, also known as International Criminal Police Organization, also known as INTERPOL, where she worked as an anti-SHADOWLADY investigator. Known as the black sheep of the International Criminal Police Organization, Chun-Li was investigating SHADOWLADY for the illegal sale of narcotics and weapons, when said evil organization managed to entrap Interpol's highest-ups. Known for dealing biochemical drugs and armaments, the SHADOWLADY is a very powerful and deadly criminal organization. The majority of DORAI's backstory can be traced to the Street Fighter II-V animated series. DORAI has a significant role in the animated Street Fighter II-V series. Here, he is portrayed as a strong, hardworking man who is protective of his daughter. In his role as Vice Squad Captain of the Hong Kong Police Department, DORAI has a number of responsibilities, including drug busts, sting operations, and other officer activities. DORAI has been exposed to a variety of risks in his line of work, as well as serving as a temple. His residence serves as a training ground for his daughter and several other students, including Fei Long. Following the successful bust of a large cocaine smuggling operation and the subsequent arrest of the kingpin involved, Inspector DORAI is invited to an Interpol conference regarding the investigation of the mysterious organization, Shadow Law, also known as SHADOWLADY. As a part of the investigation, DORAI is nearly killed by CAMMY at the order of the Shadow Law infiltrator, but his survival was kept secret by the chief of Interpol, until the person who ordered the hit, eventually found to be a Balrog, could be identified. Fei Long protects DORAI in a hospital, while CAMMY invades his room in an effort to finish his job. Eventually, after fighting Fei Long a short time, CAMMY realizes the truth and turns on Balrog, leaving Fei Long to look after DORAI. Street Fighter Legends, Chun-Li features DORAI in the Udon comic. As in the main anime series, he serves as a double agent for Interpol and SHADOWLADY. Initially, DORAI expresses concern about Chun-Li following his footsteps, but soon realizes that she is already an adult capable and competent to handle her own responsibilities. It is mentioned that his and Jen's families had a long friendship, although both were estranged in recent years due to the incompatibility of the occupations they were engaged in. In the mainline series, one of the main short stories reveals that he was sedated and kidnapped by SHADOWLADY henchmen, with the help of the then brainwashed CAMMY, who also took measures to prevent Chun-Li from following or attempting a rescue. Finally, during the main story, when Charlie regains his memory, he reveals that after being defeated by M. Bison, he witnessed the dolls attack DORAI simultaneously, with the killer bee also known as CAMMY, delivering the fatal blow at the direct command of Bison itself. In the Street Fighter 1995 cartoon series, Chun-Li's father appeared in the episode The Strongest Woman in the World. In a flashback, Chun-Li has of M. Bison attacking their village one night. He was the only one who didn't run away from the village and fought M. Bison. Chun-Li was still in her nightgown when she saw M. Bison kill him. In this series, it is shown that he knows the spinning bird kick. DORAI is briefly mentioned in the live-action film. In the aftermath of Bison's failed invasion of DORAI's village, Chun-Li confronts M. Bison, accusing him of shooting DORAI. This prompted the director to dismiss the accusation with his now infamous response, "For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life, but for me, it was Tuesday." It seems that DORAI appears in a flashback scene where M. Bison appears in Street Fighter 2. The fateful destiny of his life is mentioned by Bison. He is seen falling in this scene from a great height while desperately screaming while he falls. In a scene when they are about to fight, Chun-Li refers to her father's tragedy to Guile. What things does Shadow Lady share with Chun-Li? Well, for starters, Shadow Lady wears the same clothes as Chun-Li, except they appear dark blue with glowing gold details, with her alternate color being pink with green glowing details. She sports a Chinese sheepao dress, modified for ease of movements, combat boots, and a blue leotard with dark brown sheer pantyhose, and a blue thong underneath her dress. She also sports Chun-Li's ox horns hairstyle. As a cybernetically enhanced version of Chun-Li, she carries several weapons within her body, including missiles, lasers, and plasma generators. How about their personality? When converted, Chun-Li's normal, determined, and dedicated personality as a law officer is overwritten, and instead she becomes a subservient killing machine under M. Bison's orders, mindlessly following his orders in the manner of a robot. This personality is presented in her pre-battle intro when faced as a secret opponent in arcade mode. According to her bio, Chun-Li regained her memories shortly after the cybernetic process, after her initial secret battle in arcade mode, recovering her original personality and determination to stop M. Bison and Shadow Lu. A Shadow Lu brainwashed incarnation of Chun-Li appeared in the Street Fighter 2V anime series. Though unconfirmed, this brainwashed form may have served as the inspiration for Shadow Lady. Why was Shadow Lady created? Well, Shadow Lady represents a Chun-Li that has been captured and experimented on by Shadow Lu in the same manner Shadow Lu was in the previous game. Unlike Charlie, however, she was not enhanced with psycho power and was only granted mechanical and cybernetic parts to enhance her mobility and power, such as the vernier thrusters on the plant of her foot that lets her perform triple jumps. She was also outfitted with a number of weapons within her body, which became attacks replacing Chun-Li's normal moveset. She was initially a fully servient fighter to Shadow Lu and M. Bison. When confronted as a CPU opponent, Shadow Lady appears together with Bison, who floats behind her and orders her to go forth and show the world Shadow Lu's true power. According to her bio, however, she has recovered her memories shortly after her transformation and escaped Shadow Lu, joining Shadows as they fight against the evil Bison. In Chun-Li's ending, M. Bison captures her and welcomes her to Shadow Lu, but Shadow appears and saves her before anything happens. Whether this means her existence in gameplay is simply a what-if character or not is uncertain. In Shadow Lady's ending, she and Shadow arrive too late to stop Bison from fatally injuring Jin. Shadow Lady sees Jin is barely alive, and Shadow states that only cyberization can save him now. The screen then goes white, and when it fades back, Jin is seen alone, standing in place with a darker, shadow-like palette, and with his right hand turned into a drill. Jin then questions if he's alive. Is her gameplay similar to Chun-Li? Well, Shadow Lady plays almost entirely different from Chun-Li. They share some of the same moves and unique attacks, but Shadow Lady possesses a number of her own moves that display her robotic nature, such as large drills instead of hands and missiles launched off her body. The Miracle Drill, an attack that turns her hands into a drill to attack the opponent, and the Plasma Barrier, a shield made of electricity. Other unique moves she has include the triple jump and air dash, which she is capable of due to having compact vernier thrusters on her soles. Her hyper combos include the Big Bang Laser, a giant energy laser fired from her palms, the Galaxy Missile, a series of missiles that Shadow Lady shoots towards the opponent from her back, and the Final Mission, a move she shares with Shadow. Shadow Lady received a profile in the Street Fighter V Encyclopedia site in September 2016, the day after Shadow. The bio explains she was only remodeled with technology and, unlike Shadow, possesses no psycho power enhancements. Shadow Lady recovered her memories shortly after surgery and joined Shadowloo in opposing M. Bison and Shadowloo. Fun fact, in her bio it states that her drills are made of an alloy of light ceramic titanium, the Japanese name of Certanium, a special material featured in the Mega Man series. In her most recent sightings, SHADOWLADY made a guest appearance in Street Fighter V Arcade Edition as a limited-time boss character, fought in an extra battle event called Pursue the Mysterious Mech. Her gameplay style was an accurate homage to the character, and the fast gameplay style of Marvel vs. Capcom, performing high chain combos and aerial raves and using most of her moves and hyper combos. As a result, she was incredibly difficult to beat within the slower and less chaotic gameplay style of Street Fighter V. The reward for beating her was a title called Product of Shadowloo. Chun-Li's attire is known as the Shangsham, also known as the Shibao. Both terms describe the type of tight-fitting Chinese dress worn by women. The term Shangsham is a romanization of the Cantonese word Shangshen, which means long shirt or dress. Shangsham comes from the Shanghainese term zanze. Both Cantonese and the Shanghainese terms were used to describe the Chinese dress, which was made popular in the region of Shanghai. In Mandarin Chinese and other varieties of Chinese or Chinese dialects, Changshan is the male equivalent to a dress-only male garment, while the female version is known as the Shibao, which translated means banner robe. Many Shanghainese tailors during that time fled to Hong Kong after the Communist Revolution in 1943. The word Shangsham became used by both female and male clothing, the male version of the Shangsham being called the Shangshan and the female version of the attire called Qibao. The word Qibao became the more formal way to describe the female Chinese dress. To know the origins of Chun-Li's Qibao, we must go back to the origins of the Manchu people in China. The Manchus are Tungusic people, meaning from Tunguska, a region which is located next to Siberia. They were rulers of China during the Qing dynasty, which was the final imperial dynasty in China, and lasted from 1644 to 1912. The Manchus used an administrative decision called the Eight Banner System, in which was an administrative and military division in where all Manchu households were placed. In war, the Eight Banners functioned as armies, but the banner system was also the basic organizational framework of all Manchu society. Originally, the Manchus were the only ones organized by the Eight Banner System. As time passed by, the Mongols and the Han Chinese united under this system as well. Anyone living under the Eight Banner System would wear different clothing from ordinary day to day civilians. These people became known as the Banner People, also known as the Shi-Ren. The clothing that they used under the banner system were long robes designed for both men and women. These long robes of garment made for women and men were called the Shangbao. Under this rule, there were laws that would sanction Han Chinese, who did not use this style of attire. However, in later time, the order for regular non-banner civilians to wear Manchu clothing was lifted, and only those who served as officials or scholars were required to wear them. Over time, Han Chinese adopted the use of Shangshans. By the ends of the Qing dynasty, not only officials and scholars, but the majority of Han Chinese wore Manchu attire. For women, the Manchu style of clothing and hand style lived in harmony through the Qing dynasty. The Qing dynasty finally came to an end in 1911. After that came the Republic of China, and along with it, reform and increased education for women. Female students ditched the heavy banner robes and began wearing a modified version of the attire. The original Shibao fitted loosely and hung in an A line. It covered most of the wearer's body, revealing only the heads, hands, and the tip of the toes. The baggy clothing also served to conceal the figure of the wearer, regardless of age. The version seen as the typical Shangsham in China today was popularized by the celebrities, socialites, and politicians of the time in Shanghai, from the 1920s to the 1940s. Former First Lady of China, Madame Wellington Koo, was a prominent figure among them. Voted several times by Vogue into its list of the world's best dressed women, Madame Wellington Koo was much admired for her adaptations to the traditional Manchu fashion, which she wore with lace trousers and jade necklaces. Cheongsam dresses at the time had been decorously slit a few inches up the sides, but Madame Ku slashed hers to the knee, with lace pantalettes just visible to the ankle. Unlike other Asian socialites, Madame Ku also insisted on local Chinese silks, which she thought were of superior quality. When stockings were introduced in Shanghai in the 1930s, things changed again. With the introduction of Western fashion during the Nanjing decade, many people replaced trousers with stockings. The side slits were repurposed into aesthetic design, reaching top of thigh to reflect new fashion trends. While an ancient city, Shanghai only gained international attention in the mid-19th century, when the Treaty of Nanking opened up as a treaty port. By the 1920s and the 30s, it had become a hotbed of fashion and style. By the 1940s, trousers had completely fallen out of use, replaced by different types of hosiery. High-heeled shoes were another fashion trend introduced to Shanghai at the same time, and it became an essential part of the Xiongsham fashion set, which continued into modern day. The modernized version of Xiongsham is noted for accentuating the figures of women, and was also popular as a dress for high society. As Western fashions evolved, so did the Xiongsham design, with the introduction of the high-neck sleeveless dress, bell-like sleeves, and the black lace frolling at the hem of a ball gown. By the 1940s, Xiongsham came in a wide variety of fabrics, with an equal variety of accessories. The 1949 Communist Revolution derailed the popularity of the Xiongsham and other fashions in Shanghai, but the Shanghainese immigrants and refugees brought the fashion to Hong Kong and Taiwan, where it has remained popular. Recently, there has been a revival of the Shanghainese Xiongsham in Shanghai and elsewhere in mainland China. The Shanghainese style functions now mostly as a stylish party dress. Creator of CHUN-LI'S, Akira Akimang Yasuda, describes in the first stages of her design that pants were appropriate for her attire, for her kung fu style of fighting. But they ran into troubles when in the early stages of programming, the pants didn't fit in with the character. Akimang describes it as lacking intensity, and I quote, "If it lacks impact once translated into pixels, it becomes meaningless." After several tries, they figured out that changing the pants to tights was the best way to go, thus creating the final form of CHUN-LI'S attire. It's great to learn about all the history behind the art of CHUN-LI'S Shipao dress. The Shipao dress uniqueness gave the first female Street Fighter her iconic look. In this episode of the Street Fighterverse, we talked about CHUN-LI'S Shipao. We talked about the history, legacy, and the evolution of the Xiongsham, and discussed the origins of the creation of CHUN-LI'S attire, described by her creator Akira Akimang Yasuda. Chun-Li has demonstrated why she is considered in the Street Fighter universe as the strongest woman in the world. She is powerful enough to fight worthy adversaries and win. Her unique martial arts combined with her mystical abilities give her the strength to react with her special lightning fast kicks. Her early years in training with her father DORAI and her master Gen gave her the tools to develop her style and technique. According to the Death Battle fandom, Chun-Li is capable of kicking at high speeds, unleashing up to as many as 15 kicks in a single second. With that speed, Chun-Li can create a great deal of damage to any opponent. She is powerful enough to withstand Balrog's punches. His punches create so much power that it is said to have killed one of Dalsim's elephants. To survive a punch of that magnitude, Chun-Li would have to be able to support 10,000 pounds of force. The lightning kick is one of Chun-Li's signature special attacks. It made its first appearance in the original Street Fighter II. Chun-Li stands on one leg and sidekicks at the speed of lightning, with her other leg extended out. This is coming out of the Super Nintendo Street Fighter III Capcom instruction manual, in which states, and I quote, "Years of training have allowed Chun-Li to develop a series of powerful kicks, which strikes like lightning." If we take the term "at the speed of" and "strike like lightning" and give it a scientific base, and assuming the lightning kick is accurate, Chun-Li is capable of kicking at speeds over 750 miles an hour. Chun-Li's kicks come out with incredible speed and power, and can land several hits, doing substantial damage if not blocked. It proves that Chun-Li's kicks is definitely fast and powerful. The only slight limitation is that in order for it to work, Chun-Li has to be in a stationary position, which will limit her ability of movement, especially if the opponent, in this case CAMMY, is a character that is usually in constant motion. Chun-Li also has the ability to manipulate Qi, an internal and spiritual energy that can be used to create devastating attacks to its opponent with her Kikoken and Kikosho attacks. CAMMY is a powerful, strong, forceful, determined, and pertinacious young woman with a strong sense of justice, who is extremely polite, friendly, respectful, and enthusiastic towards those whom she knows and cares about, but can be very brutal and sometimes condescending to those whom she hates and or does not hold in such high regards. She refuses to go down without a fight, using her extensive training from both Delta Red and Shadowlu to her advantage in defeating her enemies. CAMMY's alter ego, a merciless assassin serving under Shadowlu, brainwashed by M. Bison and adopting the name Killer Bee, she was one of Bison's foremost assassins, sent on several jobs that haunt her to this day. She was freed from the hold Shadowlu had on her by Delzum, Rose in the comics, and now seeks to destroy M. Bison for what he's done to her and her sisters, the dolls. CAMMY's codename is Killer Bee, before joining Delta Red due to her ability to zip around and the resemblance her signature moves has to a bee stinger. CAMMY is a quick, impressive, and close-range fighter. She lacks any projectile or long-reaching attacks, and therefore hurls herself at the enemy, relying on speed and priority. CAMMY's overall style revolves around sudden and rapid sweeping attacks. Her moveset allows the player to attack from almost any given range, and with great agility. Her combo ability rivals that of Akuma. The great CAMMY's strength is to get in close and assault her opponent with her offensive tools. She becomes even more of a threat when she pressures them into the corner. Once CAMMY is in range, it can be difficult for her opponent to escape. While some attacks are swift punches, her main move utilizes many kicks for mid-range normals and special like Spiral Arrow. Also known as the Cannon Drill, CAMMY lunges forward while spinning in a corkscrew manner, with their foot extended, performing a short sliding kick along the ground upon landing. As Killer Bee, she is seen having the ability to take on a group of mercenaries by herself. In Street Fighter V, A Shadow Falls, it is fair to say that CAMMY saved Chun-Li from Bison's final blow. CAMMY White can weave through the bullets shot at her. CAMMY's speed is super fast, if we take in consideration the fact that she can dodge bullets without any effort. According to wonderpolice.org, in their article, How Fast Can a Bullet Travel?, it states that when bullets fly through the air, they do so at amazing speeds. The fastest bullets travel more than 2,600 feet per second. That is equivalent to over 1,800 miles per hour. To put that in perspective, it is amazing to realize that bullets travel over twice the speed of sound. Usain Bolt, the fastest man alive, currently can max out at 12.27 meters per second, not even close in range with the velocity of the firing bullet. In the Udon comics, while Chun-Li and Gao try to save the Delta Red team and go on their way to destroy M. Bison's Psycho Drive, CAMMY manages to fight a mind-controlled Ken Masters, E. Honda, and T-Hawk, which is an amazing feat, having to face 3 elite Street Fighter characters at the same time. Chun-Li and CAMMY White, great female friend, and worthy martial arts adversaries. They each sport diverse forms of attack, give them their strength, but also their weaknesses. They both are fast and efficient in combat, giving them the title of the best female fighters in the Street Fighter universe. JURI Han, anti-heroine of the Street Fighter series, first appearing in Super Street Fighter 4. She is a brutal South Korean Taekwondo martial artist who derives pleasure from inflicting pain on others. JURI fights purely for the thrill of the battle. Unlike Ryu, who seeks meaning, her drive is much more vengeful, selfish, and ruthless, as she is extremely sadistic, liking to inflict pain on her foes. And she is also extremely hot-tempered, as she can easily lose her temper when she is struck back in retaliation without warning. JURI wears a purple dudo, a form of Chinese bra top, on her chest, supported with 8 straps that meet on her back, forming a spider-like pattern. She wears long, baggy, off-white colored sweatpants and purple tights, and long, fingerless gloves. Her fingernails and toenails are painted bright pink. She has dark hair, styled into 2 horn-like bangs at the top of her head, which appear to be fastened with pink ribbons. She wears Taekwondo foot wraps on her feet. Her left eye was damaged long ago and replaced with the Feng Shui engine, which amplifies her abilities. Chun-Li is the main female protagonist of the Street Fighter series, originally debuting in the Street Fighter 2. As the first female fighter in the series, she is an expert martial artist and Interpol officer, who relentlessly seeks revenge for the death of her father at the hands of N. Bison. Her father taught her Hongxuan, as well as various basic exercises from then on. With that, Chun-Li's skills in Chinese martial arts improved rapidly. Chun-Li used mostly kicks when fighting. This was something she picked up from her father, who was also said to have legendary legs. Chun-Li continued to develop her kick attacks, embracing techniques from a variety of fighting styles, such as Chinese martial arts, capoeira, battle karate, and taekwondo, thus eventually creating her own style. Both Chun-Li and Juri Han's kicks, Li's 100 rending legs and Han's Gaisen, are the main heavy kicks in their arsenal. The Hyakuretsukiaku, also known as 100 rending legs, commonly known as lightning kick, is one of Chun-Li's signature special attacks. It made its first appearance in the original Street Fighter 2. Chun-Li stands on one leg and sidekicks at the speed of lightning, with her other leg extended out. This is coming out of the Super Nintendo Street Fighter Capcom instruction manual, in which states, and I quote, "Years of training has allowed Chun-Li to develop a series of powerful kicks which strike like lightning." If we take into consideration the term "at the speed of" and "strike like lightning" and give it a scientific base, her kicks will do a substantial amount of damage. We would have to consider various factors such as the air conditions. But the light you see from the lightning transmits roughly at 670 million miles per hour. If we were to quantify this in terms of power, it would be around 300 kilovolts, up to 150 times more powerful than an industrial shock. The energy can even exceed the power of a nuclear reactor. However, in scientific terms, Li's kick travel at technically 270,000 miles per hour. That is enough to easily deteriorate an opponent. The kicks come out with incredible speed and power, and can land several hits, doing substantial damage if not blocked. It proves that Chun-Li's kick is definitely fast and powerful. Li has to be in a stationary position, which will limit her ability of movement, especially if the opponent, in this case Juri, which is a character that is usually in constant motion. On the other hand, we have the Gaisen, spinning world-ending descent, or convolution severing realm fall, which is one of Juri's special attacks. Juri whips one of her arms backwards as her Feng Shui engine glows, and proceeds to deliver a barrage of vertical spinning kicks, while rising into the air. If the opponent gets hit by this, they will be knocked vertically in the air, higher with each hit of the sweep kick barrage. At the peak of this barrage, Juri performs an axe kick that knocks them down. We have to note that Juri's power is greatly influenced by the Feng Shui engine. The Feng Shui engine was implanted in Juri's left eye socket when she joined SIN. It acts as a replacement for her left eye, which was badly damaged when her family was attacked and her parents were assassinated by SHADOWLADY. The device was developed by SIN, and it enhances her fighting potential by emitting a very powerful ki, as well as allowing her to scan her opponent's ki levels and fire off blasts of ki energy. The engine grants a passive boost to speed, strength, and reaction times. By boosting the ki in her body, it can be further activated for a massive boost in ability. The limits and the full potential of the engine have not been fully revealed. However, as shown in her first and second Ultra combos in the Street Fighter 4 series, it grants her amazing speed, strength, and very quick reaction times. An example of JURI's kicking power can be traced on the Street Fighter 4 OVA series, as she kicks what appears to be a rocket launcher out of her sight. If we take into consideration the speed and strike power of a RPG-5 launcher, in scientific terms, her kicks would be devastating. During the boost phase, the grenade is traveling at a velocity of 117 meters per second. After 0.1 second, the rocket motor will fire up, sustaining a flight at a speed of 294 meters per second, after which the grenade will keep traveling for up to 1100 meters. JURI's ability to knock down a moving projectile gives her an edge on reaction speed and power. In the Street Fighter 4 OVA series, we can see how easily JURI blocks Chun-Li's kick attacks without hesitation. Maybe the Feng Shui engine she uses enhances her ability to a level she can block kicks with lightning, fast power, and speed. The only slight limitation of JURI's power is her Feng Shui engine. Without it, she wouldn't be as powerful. Chun-Li and JURI, one of the greatest rivalries in the Street Fighter verse. Some people even call JURI Han the anti-Chun-Li. Both have capabilities that exceed the normal human form. Chun-Li's name is Mandarin for Spring Beauty. It is a properly romanized Chun-Li in pinyin and pronounced CHUN-LI'S, despite Westerners commonly pronouncing it as Chun-Li. Chun-Li wears a shibao, a Chinese dress. Her outfit is modified to allow a far wider range of movement than a normal shibao. She also wears white combat boxing boots, of varying height, and a blue leotard with dark brown sheer pantyhose. The spiked metal bracelets she is known to wear are made of iron and weigh approximately 15 to 22 pounds each. Chun-Li also wears them to help tone and exercise her body. The shibao is fitted with weights to help build body strength and finesse, while her bracelets are for the purpose of balancing her body when performing her kicking moves, including helping stabilize her center of gravity during a hyakuretsukiyaku and limit her during supers such as the sensuretsukiyaku to avoid overexerting her muscles. Chun-Li is a sharp and dedicated officer of the law, with a strong sense of justice that rivals that of her father, as she strongly believes in protecting the innocent and saving the lives of others. Chun-Li is a highly disciplined, seasoned, and courageous woman, and is often the voice of reason. As an official Interpol, she takes her work as a cop with pride, showing pride at what she does when she saves another. Outside of her duty as a cop, she has an elegant, sweet, and feminine personality. Because of her devotion to justice, Chun-Li often becomes allies and friends with other soldiers and cops. Additionally, she has shown great strength and determination in pursuing intense crime organizations, such as the Shadowloo. At the age of 5, Chun-Li saw her first classical Chinese play, Peking Opera, and her first Bruce Lee movie, which fascinated her and became part of the reasons why she started practicing martial arts. She began learning Tai Chi. However, Tai Chi was much different from the gorgeous movements she remembered from Peking Opera. Soon afterwards, her father DORAI taught her Hong Shuang, as well as various basic exercises from then on. With that, Chun-Li's skills in Chinese martial arts improved rapidly. Chun-Li used mostly kicks when fighting. This was something she picked up from her father, who was also said to have legendary legs. Chun-Li continued to develop her kick attacks, embracing techniques from a variety of fighting styles, such as Chinese martial arts, capoeira, battle karate, and taekwondo, thus eventually creating her own style. Even though she has trained in a vast variety of arts, we will base her unique style out of 3 martial arts that are native to her origins. Chun-Li would later become a detective at the age of 18, in hopes of finding her missing father DORAI. She later followed DORAI's footsteps and became a narcotics investigator at the ICPO, International Criminal Police Organization, also known as Interpol, working as the organization's anti-Shadowloo investigator. Chun-Li was known as the black sheep of the International Criminal Police Organization, as she was investigating Shadowloo for the illegal sales of narcotics and weapons, when said evil organization got their hold of the high-ups of Interpol. The SHADOWLADY is a very powerful and deadly criminal organization that is responsible for dealing biochemical drugs and arms. Chun-Li's main three arts are the Tai Chi, the Hong Shuang, and Chinese martial arts. These three arts were key to the development of her unique fighting style. We will start with one of Chun-Li's initial martial arts, the Tai Chi. Tai Chi, also known as shadow boxing, is an internal Chinese martial art practiced for defense training, health benefits, and meditation. The term Tai Chi is a Chinese cosmological concept for the flux of yin and yang, and Shuang means fist. Etymologically, Tai Chi Shuang is a fist system based on the dynamic relationship between polarities, yin and yang. Developed as a martial art, it is practiced for other reasons. Competitive wrestling in the format of pushing hands, also known as Tui Shou, demonstration competitions, and greater longevity. As a result, a multitude of traditional and modern training forms exist corresponding to those aims with differing emphasis. Some training forms of Tai Chi are practiced with extremely slow movements. Chun-Li also found inspiration in other arts, such as the art that was taught by her father, the Hong Shuang. Hong Shuang is one of the oldest and most popular styles taught at the Shaolin Temple, and is named in honor of Ming Taishu, the first emperor of the Ming dynasty, whose name was Hong Wu. Hong Wu began life as a peasant, and led a rebellion to overthrow the Mongol rulers, the Yuan dynasty. His armies fought a decisive battle in the Song Mountain range, where Shaolin Temple is located, and turned Mount Shaoxi into a fortress named Yushai. The techniques of Hong Shuang are descended from the techniques practiced by the army during this time in the mid-14th century. It's believed that many of the soldiers stayed in the area afterwards, and settled in various villages. Hence, Hong Shuang is incredibly widespread in the area, as well as other parts of northern China. There are both Da, large, and Xiao, small, Hong Shuang forms practiced, which both have their own characteristics and differences in use. Generally speaking, Hong Shuang is a classical long fist style, designed for being able to fight while wearing armor. Out of all of the martial arts Chun-Li has redefined during the years, her Chinese martial arts have given Chun-Li her movement uniqueness and style. Chinese martial arts, often called by the umbrella terms of Kung Fu or Wushu, are several hundred fighting styles that have developed over the centuries in Greater China. These fighting styles are often classified according to common traits, identified as families of martial arts. Examples of such traits include the Shaolin Shuang physical exercises, involving 5 animals: the tiger, crane, leopard, snake, and dragon mimicry, or training methods inspired by old Chinese philosophies, religions, and legends. Styles that focus on Qi manipulation are called internal, while others that concentrate on improving muscle and cardiovascular fitness are called external. Geographical association, as in northern and southern, is another popular classification method. Chun-Li has a variety of fast-moving techniques. Her kicks and martial arts tactics are a threat to any opponent she faces. Her devotion to the arts will always give her the status of the strongest woman in the world.